basic concept is you are likely not the best at one single thing compared to anyone else in the world. But you are probably the best at a combination of like three things that you're incredibly passionate about and that intersection of all of them, right? Like, I'm not the best football player. I'm not the best rollerblader. I'm not the best bubble blower. But like, if I'm pretty good at all of them and I did them all at the same time, I'm probably the best because there's not a lot of people doing that. So it's really about kind of separating yourself from the competition and really just competing with yourself on this unique intersection of what you're excited about. And so, again, to the listeners, a great challenge is, what is your personal monopoly? Think through that. If you don't have an answer, that's totally cool, but it will help you in your career to find out what that answer is and to lean into that space, because you're going to make yourself extremely valuable. There's something called the end of history illusion, where we recognize that we've changed a lot from the past to present, but we dramatically undervalue how much we will change in the future. Like, we kind of think that we're like unchanging now, even though if you say, who were you 5 years ago? You'd be like, that was a different Kyle. Wow, don't even know that guy. Well, it's probably in 5 years going to be the same thing. When I'm 34, I'm going to be a very different person than when I'm 29. So I just don't think if you make a 5-year career plan, you are making a plan for a person that does not yet exist. I think people get so caught up with like, I need to be here, that they forget the only thing that we really have, and that is the present. And so my advice is, don't settle for shit. Find a place where you feel valued, where you're building something interesting, where you like going to work, you like your coworkers. And once you have that, figure out what you need to do to be great at that. Go heads down, become great at that, work hard, go in for like a year, then pull your head out of the sand. Where am I now? Who am I? Do a little reflection. Decide if you want to keep going or leave, but don't be in this constant state of like, okay, in 5 years I got to be here, so I have to do this. You can't actually like to it or think through what you like to do. You actually just have to do it. And so I think a lot of people are like, okay, I need to decide on what I'm going to do next. I'm going to lock myself in a dark room. I'm going to think deeply for a week, and then I will know exactly what I'm going to do next. That's not actually what happens. What you do is you put yourself out there, you do as many experiences as possible, and then you're going to have actual empirical data that's like, I liked doing that, and I didn't like doing that. I'm going to do more of the first thing. And the only way to know what you like to do is to do a lot of things and find that fit. I think the best thing you can do in your 20s is make as many connections as possible. As many connections as possible. When I moved to New York, I think I got a coffee chat with like, I don't even know, like 50 people the first like 50 days. Like, went on Twitter, anyone that had New York in their bio, I DM'd and I was like, yo, I'm Kyle. I'm just moving to New York. I don't know anyone. You want to grab a coffee sometime? And basically everyone said yes. And I met so many interesting people. Some turn into friends, some turn into partners, some turn into business partners, some turn into like, hey, if I saw you at a party, I'd say hi. And some you go your own way. Your lives weren't meant to interconnect. Totally fine too. You're going to learn something from all those connections. You're going to learn something from all those people. And then you're just building out this very expansive network that is going to give you a lot of weak ties. The best thing you can do in your life is have weak ties. People that you kind of know, but like their whole network is very different than yours. Because if you think about it, all the people you really know deeply, all of those opportunities have kind of already been like baked in. Whereas like you get a weak tie, it's like, oh, all of these opportunities now are brand new. I don't know who this person knows. If I needed like a new job, I wouldn't actually go and ask my best friend because they already know me. If they found a job that was like perfect for me, they already would have told me. I'm going to go ask the person that like would never reach out to me, but I barely know, because they know a whole new world that's underutilized by me. So if I need a new job, I'm asking people I barely know about, hey, have you heard about anything in this space? Because they're the ones who are going to facilitate those new introductions. So if in your 20s, you can make a lot of connections, find your weak ties, it's going to expose you to a lot of opportunities that are going to help you build the life that you ultimately want. You know, you never asked me like, how's your manager? Or like, how's your boss? You'll ask, oh, what's your role? What are you working on? What does Morning Brew do? Those are the normal questions. I'd argue in some ways, it might be more or equally as important about who is your boss or who's on your team. And if you can find someone that really knows what they're doing, cares about you, gives you opportunity, and challenges you to be, the person they believe you can be, but you're not yet, man, there's not a better feeling in the world than that. And I've been very fortunate to work with people like that. When I was at Marquette, the podcast I was producing was for this guy named Chuck Svoboda. And he was the former CEO of a company called Cree. It's a US company, publicly traded, 1.6 billion in revenue. Basically, we're pioneers in the LED lighting space. He's written a book about innovation. He was CEO for 16 years, which the average tenure of a public company CEO is about 5. So he lasted a long time. Very, very impressive person. Really smart, high energy, thoughtful. And so, where I was at 25, 26 at the time, working pretty much every day with Chuck, interviewing other people with him and thinking about his writing and having him do events and all this stuff. And I probably grew more in those 2 years at Marquette than like any other time in my life, or it felt like I was growing super fast because I had someone that was just like so many steps ahead of me and so much like smarter than me and just better. But I got to learn every single day. So like a meeting wasn't a meeting. A meeting was like, holy shit, I'm getting to like learn a lot. Like everything I did felt like I was like reading the best book ever. And so it just made work like so fun. Half the shit I've said on here is probably just like reversions of what Chuck told me. And that it's the best form of learning, is that social learning that you do with someone. Particularly if you're working with them, like you can kind of bother them whenever you want. That's kind of their job. So it's like having a mentor that like has to see you every day and like can't really like let you fuck off. So like ask them questions like, hey, I know this isn't relevant to the business, but while I have you, like, how do you handle this type of situation? Like glean as much info from these brilliant people as you can. And, one of the best things you can do in your early 20s, again, is be extremely curious about the world and about yourself, and find other people who have done what you want to do or are ahead of you, and just annoy the shit out of them by asking them questions and learn all you can from them. And also show that you appreciate them. I think oftentimes we're so wowed by these people and we think, oh, they must get praise all the time and like they're good. At the end of the day, they're humans as well. And they really like to know that like, wow, I made a difference in someone's life. That's kind of a main part of being human, is feeling like there was someone out there that I put in a better spot than someone else would have, or that they would have gotten to alone. And so be appreciative and let them know that you really appreciate them. I think that goes a long way.